Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. My name is Diena Lee Mann, founder and CEO of Spectio. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Megan Brown, Director of Global Center of Excellence for Advanced Analytics and Data Science at Starbucks. Megan, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, you've built world-class teams, and you're known for mentoring others. So, what advice would you give to people entering the workforce or those who are in mid-career?
Oh, yeah. So I think entering the workforce right now is a really difficult thing, right? Because at Starbucks, we get a lot of applications for entry-level roles. So many that it would take us a very long time to go through all of them. And so someone just starting out, coming out of school, an internship or two, maybe a smidge of work experience in data analytics or somewhere else, it's really hard to break through. And this is one place where I just want to acknowledge that my experience was wildly different from theirs. My first industry role, I applied. That's it. And I got a call, which is unheard of these days. um, so honestly, the first job is going to be the hardest job to get. And it might require some patience. It will definitely require some grit and endurance. But don't just apply, right? Like use your networks, right? You have friends in roles that might be a year or two ahead of you. Ask for referrals. Like when there's not a robot reading your resumes, we're using other shorthands. Referrals are one of those shorthands to get you through the massive amounts of applications that we receive. Use your referrals. Start somewhere that's not the fanciest, but where you're still getting a lot of the data analytics, data science experience, right? So when we think about entry-level roles at Starbucks, typically people have a couple of years of experience at a startup, in another domain, not necessarily retail, but they're clever enough and they translate well enough that they can cross over. And those are really the people we're looking for. But a smidge of experience, even in places that aren't the shiniest, will get you closer and closer. And then I would say hedge your bets. Like we know the draw of big tech. Like I'm in Seattle, I know the draw of big tech. Um, do what you have to do to get your first real job. So if that means that you're interning, you're apprenticing, you're doing something that feels adjacent and just bringing a data lens into it, um, you can use that to tell your story as soon as you get a real person on the other side, right? So make sure that your story um, lines up with your experience, obviously, but also um, tells them where your value is, right? Like, are you really good at storytelling? Are you really good at like building nimble things? Is your code really amazingly beautiful? Are you just a really good team player and you connect the dots across? Like, what is it? What's your special thing that you've learned about yourself in your first few years? And then for mid-career or for like really, we all know we're working in hierarchies. I won't call it a pyramid scheme, but it's a pyramid. It's a pyramid. Um, I'm a statistician at heart, right? So really never ever take yourself out of the running, right? Let them take you out of the running for any role. And I think this is really important, especially for those of us who are women or non-binary, right? Like there's that research that says men will apply to a role when they're like 50, 60%. They meet 50 or 60% of what's required. Women wait for 100%. Maybe I'm somewhere in the middle, but like, like you just have to apply, right? If someone who is like roughly equivalent to you, but just a guy is applying to that role, you should be too. So like use statistics in your favor. Like apply. Don't let your own humility stop you. And then I would say that I've experienced a bit of a shift in how I'm thinking about my career. And one of the things I really do think about is do I need to go out to the business? Right? Like to really get some experience, with my stakeholders to really understand what I'm up against when I'm working with them. Do I need to go out to the business to just become a better analytics leader? And so don't constrain yourself to your field, right? I do think that our careers are long and it's not necessarily a linear trajectory, right? So what would you benefit from the most? And so think creatively about what your next step is. And if you don't get the thing that is the like most obvious next step closer to the tip of the pyramid, well, gosh, there's so many other opportunities.
Well, that's sage advice. So thank you so much, Megan, for sharing your experience and thoughts with us today. You are truly a wonderful role model and an inspiration in our field. Please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews.